Breakfast is Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk with Matthew Dixon.
What kind of generations are around us now, Matthew Dickinson? I mean, you do talks on geek stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I do lots of talks on geek stuff and talk about, what I try and do with those talks is look at the next 7 years. I set myself a time frame of 7 years and say, this is a sort of technology, this is what's going to happen in the technology world in a 7 year time frame. It's long enough away that people forget if I get it wrong in 7 years' time.
No, they write it down, Matty. You know, it just gets, I mean, I might be an old fuddy-duddy, but can kids talk these days, or is it all mobile, all smartphone, all geek talk?
Gee, you asked me to be a sociologist now, but it is scary. It's quite interesting to see the number of people, and I think...
Truth is only on the smartphone.
Well, you're probably right, but I think one of the things is it's not even so much about, you talk about kids these days, I think society these days communicates a lot less in person to person and discussing things in the real world. Now, that might have some positives because we might be more in touch with people that aren't necessarily physically located near us. So we might have better communication with our friends or relatives that might live in another country, another area, but we sometimes forget how to have good old-fashioned communication with people near us. If you see someone waiting in a line somewhere, they'll have their head down in a phone, rather than sometimes back in the old days, you might say g'day to the person next to you.
How dare you?
Now, if you said that, they'd think, oh, it's a stalker, or it's a bit creepy, or who's this guy next to me trying to...
Trolled.
Yeah, that's all that sort of stuff. So it is interesting how quickly people pull out their phones.
And now we are developing into a society around the globe where things that don't matter do.
You have virtual everythings, and that's the thing that
things that don't exist do.
Correct, yeah, and you can apply that in lots of things with, whether it be cryptocurrencies, whether it be GameStop that we saw over the last week, where things are created out of nothingness, which is quite scary.
The price of Dogecoin, which is a cryptocurrency, has soared thanks to Elon Musk underlying his power as a market tipster by tweeting about it. What is Dogecoin?
Dogecoin is someone having a land of society. We've heard of Bitcoin, and so Bitcoin...
But it's gone up 50%.
It's gone up 50% based on nothing. And this is the thing with some of those things like cryptocurrencies where there's nothing backing them. Even GameStop. I mean, GameStop went from $18 a share. I think it topped up about $347 a share. Now it's back to $60 a share. The underlying...
How does that happen?
Well, this is the thing. The underlying fundamentals of GameStop did not change during that whole process. So GameStop is basically like an EB Games.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
It's a great shop too.
Yeah. So
is it a fear of missing out or a fear of not getting?
No, I think FOMO. I think it's a fear of missing out. Yeah, okay. I think people say, "Oh, I got some GameStop shares and I got them at $25. You better get onto it." And next thing you know, they're at $30. Oh, it's really going up. I better get onto it. And driving it to $347. Anyone that looked at that and said, "What are the fundamentals of GameStop? How much profit does it make? What stock does it own?" Oh, it's not worth $347 per share. In fact, GameStop has been under a bit of pressure. It's been suffering a little bit because people are buying more things online. So even being valued at $18 a share was a bit of a stretch at the time when it started, and then it just went through the roof. But that was all around hype created on the internet. It was really, I mean, they talked about it showing Wall Street what the average punter can do, but I don't believe that. I believe there were some people who deliberately manipulated the market.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's the underlying thing, isn't it?
Correct.
And appealing to the gullible.
Correct, and saying you're going to be part of beating the man, beating the government, beating the big Wall Street banker, but really it was just lining their pockets. So you go, you go and buy some shares, go and push the market price up, and then look at that, I'll sell now because it's at $347 a share.
Now Bitcoin doesn't exist, does it?
It doesn't
exist.
exist.
No such currency as a Bitcoin.
Oh, well, you might actually call it a currency, but you can't go and get...
Okay, it's a fake currency.
It's a fake currency, yeah.
But yet, every time I go into any of the websites, news.com, you Google up, and there's a picture of a coin. Then they christen it a bit. It's gold and it looks lovely.
The gold, I think that's a really important part. It's gold, so it must be valuable.
It's shiny, and I want some.
Well, see, at the moment, one Bitcoin
can be bought.
How do I
buy a Bitcoin?
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to give financial advice on your program, Richard, but don't do it. But one Bitcoin now, if you want to buy one, 49,000 Australian dollars.
Okay, well, Go back, Matty Dickerson. How do you get a Bitcoin?
Well, you can go and buy Bitcoins the same as you can buy a foreign currency. If you want to go and buy
So I could
an
Google
English
up
pound,
Bitcoin.
you could Google get Bitcoin, and you might be able to find a legitimate site that you could buy it, or it may not be a legitimate site.
But it doesn't exist, Matt.
It's that there is no centralised banking authority. This is the problem. If I go and buy the US dollar, well, I mightn't have confidence in the US government, but at least there is a government behind that.
I go to the exchange at the airport and I get $1 back.
You get 70 cents back or whatever it might be. So that's the concept around the world. Bitcoin was created by a group or individuals, no one really knows who, called Satoshi.
Was it a Chinese individual?
Well, no, they don't. There's no proof of who or what, but the name is Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yes.
And so that's back in about 2008, 2009.
Correct.
And so no one knows who or what that is, but that was created, and then it's been going around the world, and people have been trading this thing that doesn't really exist. It's very hard to get your head wrapped around, but there's no centralised banking system behind it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's right.
Don't do anything that you can't touch and feel.
Yeah, it's a bit
Otherwise,
scary.
it's not real. And Donald Duck's real, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, that's good.
I've seen him.
The love of our kids is real too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think so. 8 o'clock.